must endure extremes of heat and cold, and dust storms that can block out the sun. This thirst land often pushes the cheetahs to the limits of what they can tolerate. Like their prey, the springbok, they rarely need to drink. But springbok have the edge. They're far better adapted to the fierce Kalahari heat. The big moment has arrived for the territorial springbok ram. A breeding herd has come by. He wastes no time as he checks each ewe for signs that she's receptive. Most of them ignore his attentions. Then, one of the ewes obliges with a few drops of urine for him to test. And its chemical message tells him she's ready. He follows her closely, waiting for the right moment. And with a single well-aimed thrust, the act of procreation is over. Eventually, their curiosity satisfied, they heed their mother and leave the gemsbuck to its fate. In the dry riverbed, the male springbok has a problem. The breeding herd is grazing its way out of his territory. He wants them to hang around. The longer they stay, the more ewes he can impregnate. So he tries to herd them back. But he's powerless to hold them against their will. In the low brush along the riverbed, the cheetahs begin their stalk. The herd grazes in a wide part of the bed where there's no cover. The mother leads. In this situation, her cubs are worse than useless and often give the stalk away. Soon she'll leave them behind to watch how she does it. The ram, distracted by his wandering herd, hasn't seen the cheetahs closing in on him, barely 100 yards away. As the ram tends his errant ewes, the cheetah mother inches closer. The cubs would like to join in, but they're learning to sit tight. The mother makes her move. Most hunts end this way, The springbok will escape from her in more than half her chases. When the cubs catch up with their exhausted mother, there's no meal waiting for them. If they're disappointed, it doesn't show. Evening brings relief from the day's heat, and the ground squirrels forage until it's time to go into their burrows for the night. The cheetahs, too, will settle down to sleep somewhere in the dunes, while the squirrels continue their endless antics and squabblings over choice pickings below. One spots trouble on the horizon. House guests from hell. And there's no doubt where they intend to spend the night. The sharp-nosed visitors hardly acknowledge the squirrel's existence and are about to take over their burrows. The meerkats also do some end-of-the-day foraging, scratching through the sand for insects, scorpions, and other little goodies. Some clear the burrows they will sleep in tonight. But before bedding down, they groom one another so thoroughly that they'll all sleep tonight with fewer fleas. The reluctant hosts look glum. It's past their bedtime, yet they must wait for the meerkats to decide which burrows they will use. And here's one squirrel who won't be sleeping in his favorite burrow tonight. Sunset reveals a newcomer to the area. A young male cheetah sprays his final declaration for the night. He and his male partner, both young bloods in the area, are intent on extending their territory. They ventured well beyond their usual range. But tonight they'll still sleep to the familiar calls of barking geckos. The geckos call to declare their territories and to attract the silent females. Not far off, the cheetah mother and her cubs are sound asleep, oblivious to the summertime chorus around them. A male black coron breaks the early morning calm as he displays above his territory in the dunes. These birds are common throughout the Kalahari and act out their noisy disputes with spectacular aerial displays. Young males like these often team up together, whereas female cheetahs live solitary lives unless they have cubs. These two are probably brothers and partners for life. They hunt, go courting, and today They're exploring together. At certain trees, they stop to sniff and spray. These trees are bulletin boards where cheetahs declare ownership of the area to other territorial males and advertise their presence to passing females. From the odors left by other cheetahs, they'll know who else is in the neighborhood. And they will surely know that they are trespassing. In fact, they have already been seen by two older males who are long established in the area. The older pair respond immediately. Like the springbok, cheetahs claim mating rights within their territories. They'll defend these furiously. The intruders continue to explore and trespass, unaware of what they're walking into. Only now do the youngsters pause and seem to sense the trouble they're in. The older males advance toward them with ominous intensity. Male cheetahs will sometimes kill one another in territorial fights. The younger males seem uncertain, but refuse to give ground. The older males flank the youngsters threateningly. Each side waits for the other to make the first move. And then it's a standoff. But now the roles have been reversed. This time, the youngsters are on the outside. Still, neither side will risk injury in an evenly matched contest. But then, surprisingly, the older males begin to slink away in strangely exaggerated slow motion. The young males have carried the day, but this one keeps a constant watch on the retreat, unwilling to take his eyes off his adversaries, while he backs toward a shady tree. It's all over. The older males head off, leaving the intruders to savor their extended territory. High on a dune, above the riverbed, ostriches have made their nest. And when a jackal appears to be just passing by, the male ostrich is not fooled. The jackal has a den nearby, with her own young to care for. 3 pups are waiting to be fed. The first chick has made his debut, and within a few days, most of the other eggs will also hatch. Shielding the eggs from the fierce Kalahari sun is crucial. The male ostrich meticulously arranges them to make sure his body covers every one. Temperatures can soar in the Kalahari, often to over 110 degrees, and the sand becomes unbearably hot. Springbok find shade where they can. Sometimes there's barely enough. Others carry their shade with them. Sheltered under their own bushy tails, ground squirrels forage in the hot sun. They'll also dig to cooler sand, which they throw over their backs in a shower. They then press their bodies into the pits they've dug for a few degrees of relief. The cheetah males have taken refuge in the shade, while nearby gemsbuck keep an eye on them. Prostrate with the Kalahari heat, the cats must pant heavily to keep cool. In the past few days, the ostrich eggs have been hatching fast, and the male has been swallowing quantities of the calcium-rich shells, often with the soft inner lining still attached. Within a day of hatching, the chicks are steady enough on their stout legs to move about. Many of them are now ready to follow their parents into the dunes. But there are still a few eggs to hatch. Only one will succeed. The parents will wait only long enough for this chick to become a little steadier on his legs before leading their brood away into the dunes, followed perhaps by an ever-hopeful jackal. It's a slow start. Some of the chicks are barely mobile, and a strong wind doesn't help. Soon, nothing will remain of the nest site. Hyenas will claim the unhatched eggs, and even now, a dung beetle rolls away a ball of ostrich dung in which to lay its egg. The springbok are lambing. Ewes are able to time their reproduction to take advantage of favorable conditions. The ewes also synchronize their birth. So for about a month, the market is flooded with an abundance of small, easy meals. The arrival of this youngster has attracted some curious ewes, but the sooner they leave the mother and her newborn, the better. So much attention could attract predators. The newborn lamb is defenseless and must stay hidden for about the first 20 days of its life. Within a month, this wobbly youngster must be swift enough to run with the herd. Once the lambs join the herd in the open, they're instant targets. In the ancient race, the lambs must try their legs, and the cheetah cubs must learn to hunt. is watchful, but the mother cheetah leads her cubs in close without being discovered. The lamb must also master the exuberant art of pronking, but his timing is terrible. The mother holds back as her eager cubs give chase. This is their training, but they still have a lot to learn. Right now, all the cub can do is trip up this small prey. The mother will be needed for the kill. For several days after her lamb has been taken, the ewe returns to search for it. Maybe it's over there. Or is it there? She doesn't seem to comprehend that her lamb is gone for good. It's only lost. It'll turn up soon. Rain in the Kalahari is always patchy and unpredictable. It's been nearly a year since more than a few drops fell in these parts. But now a tremendous storm is brewing. By dawn, water is pouring off the land into the old riverbed. For the first time in years, a river is flowing where just yesterday there was only bone-dry sand. Within a day or two, the river has just about drained away. But the water has worked its magic as ephemeral plants of the desert put on a show. The dunes support a riot of blossoms. A bumper crop of bitter gemsbuck melons and sama melons ripen for the lean times that will surely return. The rains have ensured that in this part of the Kalahari, there is grazing for the springbok and springbok for the cheetah. Sun and dry air take their toll, but hardy desert grasses now cover much of the dunes. The small ostrich chicks are easy targets in the riverbed. The mother and her cubs can take their time. There'll be no need for a stalk. They can simply trot down to get one. The male ostrich immediately goes into action by enticing a cub to chase him. On powerful legs, he leads the cub away from the chicks. Whenever the cub tries to return to his family, the ostrich tempts him into another irresistible chase. The strategy works well, and while the ostrich is distracting the cub, he's buying time for his chicks. The female, too, has an act. She pretends to be lame and flounders away from her chicks. She makes herself look like an easy catch. The other cubs and the mother have each caught a chick and can ignore the convincing performance of the female ostrich. But the inept cubs are not sure what to do with their chicks. Meanwhile, the male ostrich continues his teasing game and almost looks as though he's enjoying it. The cub has missed out on a meal. He'll never find a chick for himself now. He wants to leave, but the ostrich continues to bait him. Come on, just one more time. The game is worn thin. The cub has had enough. But there's a friendly welcome back, and perhaps a lesson has been learned. Six months have passed, and the dawning of a Kalahari winter's day can be intensely cold. Temperatures well below freezing are not uncommon. The first meerkat to emerge from its burrow faces the sun to warm up, while nearby, young springbok rams engage in an awkward bout of sparring. Meerkats are early risers. Soon they're all solemnly assembled for their morning worship of the winter sun. But some young ones can't rise to the occasion. They're asleep on their feet. The youngsters with their smaller bodies warm up first, and the ranks fall out in disarray. From a distance, a solitary meerkat watches all the fun. She's down on her luck. Cast out by the group, she has spent the night with the squirrels. The rest of the meerkats still watch her carefully. She may have once been a rival to the dominant female, or even the pack's previous leader. Now she's reduced to consorting with squirrels. When her pack leaves, they leave without her. She watches them go. She'll follow them at a distance as they forage through the day. But first, the outcast checks the burrows where the pack spent the night. There's no future for a single meerkat. She'll trail the pack until the grudge is forgotten. The cheetah cubs are about 18 months old now, as big as their mother and old enough to leave her to seek their own fortunes. Once they go, she may never see them again. But she may not be alone for long. Not far off, the two young males rest in the dunes, keeping a close watch on wildebeest in the riverbed below. They've spotted the calves in the herd. They won't run at prey down a steep dune. Instead, they'll take a roundabout route to get on the same level as the wildebeest. At first, only some of the herd see the cheetahs, but soon they're all in full flight. They've caught a calf, but once again, they may have to contend with the ferocity of maternal instinct. The cheetahs weather one charge, but the calf still struggles, and the mother won't give up. Another charge like that one, and the mother might have her calf back. But she has given up, and the calf is doomed. One of the brothers has paid a price for their meal. He's bleeding from a horn wound in his thigh. But he's been lucky, and he's recovering quickly enough to claim.
It's hard to know where to start. Venison? Pulled pork? Tastes like chicken. Not again. This time, it's crocodiles. Chaos becomes opportunity. Finally, a real meal. Even the biggest cat in the world struggles in these parched woods. But the luscious forest can be just as brutal when you're a pint-sized predator. The Central American rainforest teems with frogs. Many no bigger than a nickel. There are hundreds of species, and every single one of them a fierce little predator. They'll eat just about any creature they can get in their mouths. But all rainforest frogs begin their lives with the odds stacked against them. Most frogs simply lay their eggs and abandon them to the elements and to predators. But one fierce little frog stands by his young, the reticulated glass frog. It's named for its transparent skin. Get close enough and you can see his organs hard at work. Mom is nowhere to be found. Dad does it all, guarding the clutch 24 hours a day. At night, the father transfers moisture through his own skin onto the eggs so they don't dry out. Come daybreak, he must defend his brood from their worst enemy. Squadrons of carnivorous rainforest wasps take to the air. A frog nightmare. They're aggressive, persistent, venomous, and nearly as big as our glass frog. They're not interested in him. They want his eggs. But if the wasps think they can eat his babies without a fight, they've got another thing coming. He's a frog ninja. One little frog can only do so much. Some wasps make it to the clutch. But reticulated glass frog babies appear to have their own exit strategy when they detect extreme danger. Our cameras filmed it for the first time. Some of the embryos pop out prematurely and make a break for it. Even if only one survives the onslaught, the tiny father's heroism won't be in vain. forest, every level teems with predators attuned to their particular place. At the very top, over 100 feet up, life is precarious. Here, a petulant princess is imprisoned in a tower. A harpy eagle chick, trapped atop one of the tallest trees in the forest, the quipo. She's a 20-pound monster, daughter of the most powerful raptor on Earth. She's nearly full grown, except for one thing. Her flight feathers are still coming in, so she can't fly. Usually her parents drop off a monkey or a sloth every few days for her to eat, but she hasn't seen them in over a week. And she's getting desperate. The nest reeks of old kills. Biting insects are a constant torment. Hunger drives her to try and choke down the putrid leftovers. To make matters worse, her favorite meal is just trees away. A sloth, moving at a mouth-watering 1/10 of a mile per hour. It's time to give those wings a try. Dangerous business. Harpy chicks can and do fall out of their nests. Flying practice turns to tantrum. And a workout for those talons. They're as big as grizzly bear claws. It's a long way down. She's trapped and doesn't know when her next meal is coming. Mother. Deeper in the forest, another sloth ascends to the sky, unaware that a fury of maternal instinct has taken to the air. Sloths can live for 20 years. This one won't. With her agile 7-foot wingspan, the mother harpy eagle carries her catch with surprising ease. If 10 pounds of sloth doesn't satisfy her demanding daughter, nothing will. Fresh meat is finally on its way. It's about time. At first, the overgrown chick seems defensive. Mom wins her over. She tidies up the nest. Then she dismembers the carcass and feeds it to her giant daughter as if she were a newborn. Harpy eagles raise only one chick every 2 or 3 years. This is a rarely seen, intimate moment between two of the world's most aggressive winged predators. Harpies are masters of the canopy. But far below, hunters without wings or legs thrive in the tangles of the rainforest. Looks like this guy's trying to get up the tree here. He's a boa constrictor, and he kills by strangling the life out of his prey. But he's got cousins I'd rather not handle. The forest offers a variety of habitats that predators can utilize. The ground, for example, it's covered in brush and debris, great places for venomous snakes to ambush prey. Nearly invisible in the leaf litter, a killer has been waiting motionless for weeks. She's a bushmaster, the largest pit viper in the world, and one of the most venomous. She chose this spot carefully. Her tongue can detect the lingering scent of rodent traffic. She'll stay here as long as she has to. Finally, she begins to pick up tiny vibrations. Pits on her face pinpoint the signature of body heat. A human stands a 1 in 4 chance of surviving her bite. This rodent, none at all. Always starting with the head, she walks the prey down her gullet. one fang at a time. After digesting a while, she'll slither off in search of something bigger. The Bushmaster has a surprisingly sophisticated map of the rainforest in her head. She remembers exactly where she last saw her quarry. An armadillo. She doesn't want its meat. She wants its hospitality. Armadillo dens are the perfect size for what she has in mind. Hidden in its burrow, she will lay a dozen eggs. For 2.5 months, she'll guard them, not even leaving to eat. But when the babies begin to hatch, she's already gone. They're hardly helpless, though, and quickly get down to the task of finding their first meal. The Transylvanian forest is as dark and foreboding as its creatures of legend. Werewolves and vampires. But the most bloodthirsty of them all is quite real. The least weasel has a problem. He simply can't stop killing. His predator programming has no off switch. At only 5 inches, he's the smallest true carnivore on Earth, related to fierce wolverines and badgers. So don't let that face fool you. His metabolism is so turbocharged, he needs to eat more than 1/3 of his body weight. That's up to 10 meals every day. Good thing the least weasel is perfectly adapted to live the life of a solitary hunter. With his long, flexible spine, his whole body becomes a vice, constricting the prey. His jaws and canines are like a lion's, able to puncture the skull with ease. He stops only long enough to eat the brains, his equivalent of an energy bar. He doesn't have time for the rest now. The compulsion to kill propels him back to the hunt. His collection of corpses grows. He's a serial killer with a hoarding problem. And he'll kill nearly anything that moves. But this looks suspicious. Right size? Definitely wrong colors. The fire salamander oozes poison. Nearby mice bolt to their burrows. But the weasel can hear ultrasonic sounds made by the rodents. Anywhere his head can fit, his body can follow. Even complete darkness doesn't stop the weasel. His nose and ears can see just fine. Only the very quick and very lucky escape. But for him, losing one isn't the end of the world. Least weasels have been found with up to 50 carcasses stuffed away. But the tiny terror of Transylvania shares these forests with an even larger appetite. In these last stretches of primeval woodland, giants still wander. For decades, thousands of acres were off limits to humans. But now, people are back. And Transylvania's huge brown bears are feeling the heat. These mountains are full of them. Too many bears and shrinking resources means conflict. Smaller bears get the short end of the stick. But a lost carcass is the least of this bear's worries. His woods are booby-trapped. This Transylvanian bear has stumbled into a snare set by poachers. He's frightened and helpless. But these men aren't here to kill. They belong to a bear rescue group. The tranquilizer is effective, but it won't last long. They quickly take vitals and tend to his wounds. As he starts to come around, he's anything but grateful. The camera, set up to record his release, will never spy on him again. On the forest floor, ants frantically go about their business. Order is maintained through constant chemical communication. They collect food. They defend their colony. They also take their dead off the field of battle. A tactic that allows an infiltrator into their midst. The Zodarian spider, a con artist, and an ant killer. She must become an ant to catch one. First, she embeds herself with the troops. Dicey. If she's caught, they'll kill her. If they think she's a spider. Walking on 6 legs instead of 8, she pretends her front two are antennae, mimicking her prey. She singles out a loner that stops for a bit of grooming. The spider attacks from behind. Her venom does the dirty work. Full body paralysis. Now, how to get out of here alive with the prize. The Zodarian spider uses her victim as cover. The ant's scent masks her own, a kind of cloaking device. It's time to get really devious. She pretends to be one of the ant army's cleanup crew. She now needs to run the gauntlet of suspicious ants tapping their antenna with her false pair. Chemically camouflaged by reassuring antelope. If she loses her nerve or drops her bounty, she's exposed. But a couple of quick flashes of her antennae, she's back in business. Now she can make a beeline home. At a safe distance, she sucks up the juices until nothing is left but an empty shell. She retreats to her bunker, a tent of rocks roped together by bits of her own webbing. Close the door, and she performs another disappearing act. The forest is full of lone assassins. But sometimes teamwork proves just as effective. India's scrappy wild dog, the dhole, has long been reviled. But what it lacks in image, it makes up for in courage. They've been known to take on tigers. These rare dogs are crazy about each other and work together like a well-oiled machine. This dhole is a standout guy. Like most of his buddies, he's mastered the handstand pee. He's no bigger than a border collie. But in a pack, he and his underdog pals can be terrifying. Right now, they've set their sights on a sambar deer. 600 pounds of good eating. They flush the deer out of the cover of the forest. The dholes have stamina. So does the sambar. When the other dholes give up, this young guy doesn't stop dogging his prey. It looks like a standoff. But dholes swim too. Without his pack as backup, though, he doesn't stand a chance. The dhole, exterminated for ages as vermin, is still in danger. Only now are we coming to understand their intensely secret lives.